Hi everyone. This is lesson video tutorial number 2. The first one was just reviewing fingerings of major scales for 2 octaves. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to review whole step, half step, 5-finger major patterns and 1 5-6-5 progressions. Okay. So first of all, I want to talk to you about what a half step is. For many of you, you already know this. But I don't know. I just want to spend a little time refreshing people's memory because it's, been a long time since we've been doing this, okay? So on the piano, the smallest step that you can make between 2 keys is a half step. So for instance, if I'm on F and I go up a half step, I'm going to land on a black key, okay? Because that's the smallest move we can make, okay? So we call that a half step. All right. I can also go, that's going up a half step, by the way. I can also go down a half step. And at this point on the piano, when you go down a half step, there's no black key. So what's the nearest move we can make is the E. Okay, so that's going down a half step. All right. Same thing would happen here between middle C. If I were to go down a half step, I have a white key, right? You can start on any key on the piano. You can even start on a black key like A flat. If I asked you to go up a half step, you would go from a black key to a white key. And this would be A natural, okay? And you could go from A flat down a note, you would go to G, okay? Ooh, it's humid in here, you guys, so my piano is sticking. Now I want to talk, I hope that's clear to everybody. I want to talk to you now about a whole step. I'm kind of buzzing through this fast because you should have had this and we're just refreshing it, okay, in your mind. So if I start on F again and I ask you to go up a whole step, you go to the next key with 1 key in between. Okay, so if I go from F, F to G, there is 1 note in between, and it's the F sharp or G flat, whatever you want to call it, okay? But it's a visual thing. I'm not worrying about note names really right yet. I'm just looking at the keys. So that's a whole step because there's a black key in between, all right? Now, if I ask you to start on E and ask you to go up a whole step, again, that's that place where there's no black key. So we're going to go from this key E to the nearest key with 1 key in between. Okay, it's the 1 key in between that you got to think about. So it would be going to there. Okay, in this case, this white key F is in between. Don't let the fact that it looks like it's far apart, it almost looks like a skip, doesn't it? Because they're so far apart. It's because there's 2 white keys, okay, and they're fatter than the black keys. So it seems like it's farther apart. So from here to here, with 1 key in between, this is a whole step, right? If I started on a black key and asked you to go up a whole step, you would go to the next key. There's only 1 key allowed in between, the white key's in between. So that's a whole step too. And again, it just seems further apart than like going, they seem so close to each other, with that whole step, okay? But from here to here, they look further apart, okay? It's a visual thing, okay? So when we do the 5-finger pattern, it's a combination of whole steps and half steps, given a starting note. Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. Hope I'm not making you like nauseous, dizzy. Okay, so I'm going to start with F as a starting note, and we're going to build a 5-finger scale using whole steps and half steps. Now, the pattern for a major 5-finger pattern is, that was redundant, whole step, half step, whole step, okay? So if we start on F, okay, we're going to build up a whole step. And remember, a whole step is from 1 key to the next with 1 key in between. So here, that's a whole step. There's the black key in between, all right? Then we need another whole step. We always start on the key we left off on. So now we're on G. So we're going to go up a whole step. Okay, now we're going to need a half step. We start on A because that's the last note we played. Go up a half step, excuse me. We're going to go up to here. Okay, and then from this note, we're going to go up another whole step. Now here's that weird place where there's no black key. So we're going to jump over one white key, and there's the last note. So the key of F major has a black key, and it's our fourth finger. Okay. Now let's spell the note names. And when you do 5-finger patterns, they're consecutive notes. So in the alphabet, so F, the next note would be G, then A, and then the black key is going to be a B flat. And then up one more, C. So the 5-finger pattern has a B flat in it. Okay, and you would then practice your left hand. Okay, and the reason why I'm going through this is I also want to talk to you about the 1-5-6-5-1 progression. And that is in your book. Page 150. And I'm specifically talking about up here. So I want you to work on this right hand in the key of C, F, G, and then back to C. So you're moving into like related keys diatonically. Okay. So when you play a 5-6-5, it's just, that's called figured bass. That tells you, we learned about inversions in lesson 1. We did scales, maybe it was lesson 2. I did those separately, I think. We did inversions of chords. And the 6-5 just indicates an inversion of that 5 chord, okay? That's called figured bass. And we're talking about intervals. So the 6 means that it's an interval of a 1/6 above the root of the bottom of that note, of that chord, and then a 5th. And you'll see in a minute, okay? So we're going to play, first of all, the C progression 1-5-6-5-1. And all you're going to do is play a root, position chord, C, and then to play the 5-6-5, you play G. And again, when we're talking about the Roman numerals, we're talking about chords built on the step of the scale. Okay, so one chord would be a chord built on the first note of a scale, which is in this case C. Okay, if I ask you to build a 5-6-5, we're talking about a chord built on the 5th note of the pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, which is sticking. Sorry, you guys. All right, so this is a G chord. It's going to be a G chord. So you have your G. You're going to play the note right below it, a step or a whole step lower. Okay, so you didn't have to move anything from the C pattern. Okay, then you're going to take your lowest note and move it down a half step. Okay, so you're going to play that, and then you're going to move your thumb back in to play the C chord, and then you play 1, 3, 5. All right, I'm going to move up an octave because this is sticking and it's really bugging me. Okay, so we're going to play a C chord. This is in root position, right? Skip, skip, skip. Then we're going to play the 5-6-5 by lowering our thumb a half a step and playing our 2 top notes. Now you'll notice from this note, now we have an interval of a 6th and we have an interval of a 5th. And that's why it's called a 6-5, okay? And then you're going to practice it in your left hand. Ew, I don't have a choice now. Okay, now you're going to play your G, a whole step lower, and lower your pinky because your hand is opposite, it's mirror. And then back to your C chord. Okay, if you're a more advanced pianist, play them together. Okay, the fingerings are going to be slightly different in both hands against each other, so it takes a lot of coordination. Let's do key of F now. So we did already build the F 5-finger pattern. It had a B flat in it, okay? So we're going to play the F chord. That's in root position. Okay, then we're going to play the 5-6-5 by playing our 5th note. So it's going to be, the 5 chord is going to be a C chord. Okay, we're going to play the B flat. That's a whole step lower than our pinky. And it's in the 5 pattern. It's in the 5-finger pattern already. It has a B flat built in. And then we're going to lower our thumb down a half step to E. And then we're going to move our thumb back in and play the F chord. All right? And you're going to do the same thing in the left hand. 1 and 2, C and B flat. That's the 7th of the chord. Pinky slides down. That's called the leading tone, by the way. When you go from F, which is the key note, and bring it down a half step, that's the leading tone. And then bring it back in. Sometimes it's just easier to memorize how the fingers move. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is the key of G. So given the starting note G, let's do our 5-finger pattern. Whole step, half step, whole step. So the 5-finger pattern has all white keys. Okay, so when we play our progression, we play G is a G chord. We're going to play our 2 top notes. So the 5 chord's a D chord. Down a whole step, and then our thumb slides down a half step. Okay, so we have an F sharp. And then back to G. Let's do the left hand. Slide your pinky down a half step, play your 2 top notes of the pattern. Let's do it together, and I'm going to have a note sticking. Slide down, and then back. Now I have 2 sticking. Okay, so what I would like for you to do is on page 50, practice this. This is exercise 6-6. 6-1. Boy. You can do hands alone or hands together. It's up to you, which you feel more comfortable, but learn this exercise, okay? All right, I'll be back later with another tutorial. Take care.